Look the part to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. How do you look the part to grow your business? Is it important? How do you do it? Do you dress to impress? Do you dress for success? All those things that have to do with our physical appearance, right? Because people make judgments. People judge. People have first impressions. First impressions are important, but lasting impressions as well are important. I need my magnifying glass. I've got all those critters sitting on. This idiom is another one that we don't know the origin of. I suspect it's been around as long as people have been dressing up, dressing to impress, which means it's pretty ancient because everybody had their own rituals and customs to separate the different classes of people throughout time. And we do the same thing in our businesses. Unless, of course, you're a billionaire and you really honestly don't care what other people think of you and think of your appearance. And I am leaning on that end of the spectrum, but I do care a little bit, right? I do care that I don't look like a total fool or total moron to the people that I'm here to serve, right? Because nobody wants to be led by someone that they don't respect or somebody that they don't believe in. We don't follow people that don't set the example, lead by example, and show us how to behave and be better versions of ourselves. So I have a couple stories about looking the part and dressing for success. I know people, and I know a lot of people actually that dress for the job that they want because, management gurus taught us to do that back in probably the 70s, but in the 80s for sure, and in the 90s, that you dress for the job that you want. So if you want to be a supervisor or a leader in your organization, you dress like the supervisors and leaders in your organization do. When I first came online, I adopted a pajama grandma persona because, and this was before the pandemic, I wanted to have that laptop lifestyle and show other people how to do the same thing. To work remotely, live and, work do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whomever you want, wearing what you want was my philosophy. Still is my underlying philosophy, but I've tapered it a little. And by the time, I think I started doing that in about 2018 and 2019, I showed up as pajama grandma all the time, which meant I either had a robe or pajamas on every time I made a video, which was entertaining to say the least. But, and I even went to a very famous marketing conference dressed as pajama grandma and spent the entire conference dressed in a robe. And I did wear yoga pants and shirts under it, but I had a robe on for each of those sessions at that week-long seminar, which was only a little bit embarrassing, but it did have the effect that I wanted it to. It was a way to make a statement, and people know who you are when you dress differently. But by the pandemic time, I was ready to retire pajama grandma, and I wanted to kill her off, but my family said that it was in very poor taste given the pandemic, and I would have to agree. So she's kind of just a secondary persona that peeks up in the background every once in a while, but doesn't show up every day like she used to. So curious about your thoughts and feelings about dressing the part, dressing for the job that you want, dressing to impress, dressing for success. I have found that throughout my lifetime and throughout my career that it's always okay to be overdressed, but it's not necessarily okay to be underdressed in the environment. When I first went to work for, and I will say the name, Procter & Gamble, right out of college, they didn't have an official uniform or expectations of what you wore as a supervisor and a manager in that organization. But believe me, very early on, somebody sat you down and told you, this is our culture, this is our norm, this is our expectation, this is how we expect you to dress and act and be as a part of this culture and as a leader and an example in this culture. So that was one of my earliest educations in a silent uniform expectation, right? And then when I worked for a big industrial bakery, I fought it for about 2 years, and then I ended up, going along with everybody else. And actually, as a manager in that organization, we wore uniforms similar to what everybody in the organization wore. And just like my kids in Catholic school, I loved that they had uniforms for grade school. And I realized once I actually started to wear a uniform, it was so freeing because you didn't have to think about what you were going to wear every day. Pick a pair of shirts, pick a shirt, pick a pair of pants, pick, your hard hat, and your hairnet, and you're good to go. And so it became really a good thing, even though I fought it for a very long time, because I like to push against things until I buy into them, and then once I buy into them, I'm all in. So share in the comments below your experience with looking the part, dressing for success, dressing to impress, etc. I'd love to hear your stories about that. Otherwise, go out and make it an amazing day, and think about how that plays out in your business and in your organization. Do you have an unwritten code of how people are expected to dress? You know, most organizations, a lot of organizations now have casual Fridays, where people kind of can wear whatever they want on Fridays. A lot of organizations now, since the pandemic and even prior to the pandemic, only work half days on Fridays. In my last really formal business, it was an Italian food manufacturing business, everybody worked Monday through Thursday. I would go in for a couple hours on Friday, but everybody else had Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. Why? Because it made everybody happy. They got a long weekend every weekend, and that meant Monday through Thursday, we were all a lot more productive. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Hopefully, where does it come from, and where did it originate, and how can you think about applying it to your business? Have a great day. I'll be with you tomorrow.